My name is D. Young. Welcome to True Tone Tales, real stories, real lessons, real legacy. I was 10 years old, standing in my front yard, watching smoke curl into the sky like questions nobody wanted to answer. Sirens howled, voices shouted. The neighborhood I knew, the place I rode my bike, played marbles, and felt safe with my friends was suddenly a battlefield. The grown-ups around me spoke in hushed tones as if the air itself was filled with fear. I didn't understand all their words, but I understood the fear in their voices. And I remember thinking, what kind of world am I living in? That question haunted me. It echoed in my mind in ways I couldn't explain. What kind of world? And I carried that question with me for years, always searching for answers, always feeling the weight of the world knit on my shoulders, even as a kid. 2 years later, we moved from Watts to a mostly white neighborhood in Compton. I was 12. It wasn't a huge change on the surface, but everything felt different. People there didn't ask the same questions. They didn't speak the same way, and they didn't know what it felt like to walk the streets of Watts, where fear and hope coexisted every single day. But then they asked me, what was it like in Watts? Every time, my answer was the same. It's just like here, just different names of families. They'd blink at me, unsure of what to say. But I meant it. In Watts, the men got up early and went to work. So did the men in Compton. The women in Watts swept their porches and planted flowers. So did the women in Compton. Kids played outside, running and laughing. Neighbors chatted on Saturdays. And on Sundays, families went to church. We weren't so different, and yet the world kept telling us we were. The lie I was told in Watts was that all white people lived in big houses and had all the money. The lie I was told in Compton was that all black people were poor, angry, and dangerous. Neither was true. I had lived in both places. I had seen both truths. The real difference was never about the people. It was about the stories others wanted us to believe. And those stories shaped the way people saw each other, and in some cases, the way they saw themselves. That same year, another lesson found me, one that stayed with me just as long as those lies. There was a new kid at school named Ralph. I didn't know exactly where he was from, one of the islands, maybe Hawaii or Samoa. He was quiet like most new kids, kept to himself, didn't bother anyone. But we had this bully, Willie. He always had to find someone to mess with, and Ralph became his new target. At first, I tried to stay out of it. I didn't want to make trouble. But something inside me told me, this isn't right. Ralph hadn't done a thing to deserve it. So one day I stepped in. I didn't fight Willie, but I made it clear that if he wanted to keep pushing Ralph around, he'd have to deal with me. That was enough. Willie backed off. Ralph wasn't a target anymore. We never made a big deal out of it. I did it because I knew what it felt like to be the new kid, to be misunderstood, to feel alone. We all just want to be seen. We want to belong. That was the first time I stood up for someone, but it wouldn't be the last. I realized that the world isn't always kind, but sometimes, if you're brave enough, you can be the one to change it. I saw Ralph's face light up when Willie stopped picking on him. I knew that moment mattered, not just for Ralph, but for me. I had learned to question the stories we tell ourselves about each other. Around that time, I made my first white friend. His name was Russell. He lived with his single mother in a mobile home park, and he was the biggest Dodgers fan I'd ever met. His mom drove one of the first Datsun pickups, and she'd take us to games once or twice a week. It was me, Russell, and Rodney. One black, one white, and one Asian. Best friends for a year and a half. We didn't think about race. We just thought about who had the best baseball cards, who could hit the ball farthest, and whether Drysdale was pitching that night. We shared snacks, secrets, and stories. We played until the streetlights came on and rode our bikes like they were rocket ships. But then came white flight. Russell and Rodney both moved out of the city. Russell went to Arizona. I'm not sure where Rodney ended up. We didn't go to the same junior high, and just like that, the trio faded into memory. No goodbyes, no last ride, no final game at Dodger Stadium, just silence. And I was left with the ache of knowing how easily people could be torn apart by forces they didn't control. I never heard from Russell again, or so I thought. About 10 years ago, I received an email through classmates.com. It was from someone named Russ. He wrote, We used to take bike hikes. We went to Disneyland. I couldn't stop smiling. I sent him my phone number right away, and he called within minutes. We laughed, caught up, and I told him, I'm old, but not that old. We joked like no time had passed. He reminded me of a trip we'd taken, all three of us. The last one before everything changed. About 25 to 30 miles on bikes all the way to Disneyland. One trip I'll never forget. Even now, it leaves a smile on my face. That friendship taught me something I've carried my whole life. When you strip away the fear and the fiction, you find the truth in laughter, in loyalty, in the way we show up for each other. Life can really be that simple. We can write our own stories instead of letting others tell them for us. Thanks for riding with me down memory lane. Please like, share, and subscribe.